I'm 75 now, and I can't remember anybody except the Queen being there.
In a shocking turn of events that has left the British monarchy reeling, Queen Camilla's emotional breakdown on live television has exposed deep fractures within the royal family. "I can't take it anymore. I quit." These devastating words, delivered through tears at Buckingham Palace, mark an unprecedented moment in royal history.
She hasn't, no. She's more of a soft influencing, modest kind of instruction.
As the world watches in disbelief, urgent questions emerge about the true catalyst behind this dramatic resignation. Was it the weight of Diana's enduring legacy, King Charles's deteriorating health, or something far more sinister lurking behind palace walls? From secret plans left by the late Queen Elizabeth to growing tensions with younger royals, we uncover the explosive chain of events that pushed Britain's Queen Consort to her breaking point. This is the inside story of power, betrayal, and the human cost of wearing the crown. The breaking point. In a moment that would forever alter the course of British royal history, Queen Camilla's composure cracked during what seemed like a routine royal engagement in Samoa. The October 2024 ceremony, initially planned as a celebration of Commonwealth ties, instead became the first visible sign of a deeper crisis brewing within the palace walls. As rain fell softly on the traditional ceremonial grounds, no one could have predicted that this would mark the beginning of the end of Camilla's royal journey. The emotional weight of the moment became unbearable as King Charles III addressed the gathered crowd, his voice carrying a subtle tremor that only those closest to him would recognize. "My deep connection to this beautiful land," he began, pausing to steady himself, "makes me hope I'll live long enough to return." At these words, tears began to stream down Camilla's face. Tears that palace sources now reveal were not merely a response to her husband's touching speech, but the first cracks in a carefully maintained facade. As cameras captured every detail of Camilla's emotional display, royal watchers noticed something different in her usually composed demeanor. The Queen, known for her resilience in the face of public scrutiny, seemed to physically shrink under the weight of unspoken burdens. Inside sources close to the palace would later reveal that this moment coincided with devastating news about King Charles's health, information that would remain closely guarded for weeks to come. Behind the scenes, the royal household was grappling with more than just public appearances. Confidential reports suggest that King Charles's cancer diagnosis had taken a more serious turn, forcing the royal family to contemplate contingency plans they had hoped would remain theoretical for years to come. The strain of maintaining a brave face while supporting her husband through intensive treatments had begun to take its toll on Camilla, creating cracks in her carefully constructed public persona. The pressure of public scrutiny had reached unprecedented levels, with every gesture, tear, and expression analyzed across social media platforms and news outlets worldwide. Royal correspondents noted that Camilla's security detail had reported concerning levels of exhaustion, with the Queen often retiring early from engagements, citing health concerns that would later prove to be far more serious than initially disclosed. The weight of the crown, it seemed, had become too heavy to bear alone. Within the gilded halls of Balmoral Castle, tensions simmered beneath the surface, as the younger generation of royals, led by Prince William and Princess Catherine, pushed for modernization that would fundamentally reshape the monarchy. Sources close to the royal household reveal that heated discussions often centered around the redistribution of royal duties, with Camilla increasingly finding herself marginalized in these conversations. The strain between the old guard and new became impossible to ignore. The infamous Balmoral Summit, initially planned as a routine family meeting, erupted into what one senior aide described as a watershed moment for the monarchy. Camilla, faced with proposals to transfer several of her key patronages to Princess Catherine and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, reportedly broke down in an unprecedented display of raw emotion. The Queen's usually measured demeanor shattered as she confronted the reality of her diminishing role. Princess Anne, known for her steadfast loyalty to the crown, was reportedly stunned by the intensity of Camilla's reaction. According to palace insiders who witnessed the confrontation, the Princess Royal attempted to mediate, reminding everyone of the late Queen Elizabeth's vision for a modernized monarchy. However, this only served to deepen Camilla's sense of isolation as whispers of the late Queen's private thoughts about her role began to surface. The aftermath of the Balmoral confrontation sent shockwaves through the royal household, with staff reporting an atmosphere of unbearable tension. Private conversations began leaking to the press, painting a picture of a royal family in crisis. One senior courtier, speaking on condition of anonymity, revealed that Camilla had begun spending increasingly long hours alone in her private quarters, refusing even routine engagements. As the pressure mounted, Camilla's private struggles became increasingly public. Eagle-eyed royal watchers noticed her absence from key events, with official explanations of minor health issues failing to quell growing speculation. The Queen's inner circle grew smaller by the day, with trusted confidants reporting her increasing paranoia about loyalty within the palace walls. The weight of centuries of tradition and expectation had begun to crack even the strongest of foundations. As the walls of Windsor whispered with uncertainty, a deeper truth emerged, one that would force the world to confront the human cost of royal duty. The shadow of Diana's legacy loomed larger than ever. A royal under pressure. The ghost of Diana, Princess of Wales, has always haunted the corridors of royal residences, but never more powerfully than in recent months. As public sentiment shifted, royal watchers began drawing increasingly pointed comparisons between the people's princess and Queen Camilla, particularly focusing on their approaches to charitable work. One senior palace aide revealed that these constant comparisons had begun to wear heavily on Camilla, who found herself perpetually measured against an impossible standard. Photography exhibitions celebrating Diana's humanitarian work seemed to appear with uncanny timing, showcasing moments that emphasized her natural warmth and connection with the public. Each image served as a stark reminder of Diana's enduring legacy, while social media erupted with side-by-side comparisons that inevitably cast Camilla in a harsh light. The weight of Diana's shadow, confided one close friend of the Queen, became increasingly unbearable. Despite years of careful image rehabilitation and dedicated service to the crown, Camilla found herself unable to escape the persistent whispers and sideways glances. Private correspondence, recently brought to light by a former lady-in-waiting, reveals the depth of Camilla's struggle with this constant comparison. How does one compete with a memory that grows more perfect with each passing year? She reportedly confided in a moment of rare vulnerability. The pressure intensified as Prince William's increasing public presence seemed to channel his mother's spirit. His natural ease with the public and dedication to mental health causes drew enthusiastic comparisons to Diana, while Camilla's more traditional approach to royal duties was often criticized as cold and detached. Sources close to the palace revealed that these criticisms cut deeper than anyone realized, particularly given Camilla's genuine efforts to modernize her approach. Each public engagement became an exercise in psychological endurance, with media outlets scrutinizing every gesture and expression for signs of discord. The breaking point came during a children's charity event where Camilla's attempts to connect with young beneficiaries were overshadowed by viral social media posts comparing similar moments from Diana's tenure. The strain became visible in Camilla's increasingly tense expressions and shortened public appearances. The BBC's documentary series celebrating Diana's humanitarian legacy proved particularly challenging for the Queen. While publicly supporting the production, inside sources reveal that Camilla spent hours in private viewing sessions, meticulously studying Diana's natural grace and attempting to understand the ineffable quality that had made her so beloved. These sessions often ended in tears, with staff reporting increasingly frequent cancellations of subsequent engagements. The complex web of relationships within the royal family took an unexpected turn when photographs emerged of Queen Camilla sharing an animated conversation with her former husband Andrew Parker Bowles at a private polo match. While such interactions had previously raised few eyebrows, sources close to King Charles III reveal that these moments had begun to stir deeper concerns within the monarch, who was already grappling with his own health challenges. Palace insiders whispered of increasingly tense exchanges between the royal couple, with Charles reportedly expressing uncharacteristic irritation at Camilla's continued closeness with her ex-husband. "It's not jealousy," confided one senior aide, speaking on condition of anonymity, but rather a deep-seated concern about the optics during this particularly vulnerable time for the monarchy. The strain became visible in their joint appearances, where body language experts noted a growing distance between the couple. The situation reached a critical point during a private family gathering at Windsor Castle, where Andrew Parker Bowles's presence at Charles's explicit request raised eyebrows among the household staff. According to sources present at the event, the atmosphere grew increasingly charged as Charles observed the easy familiarity between his wife and her former spouse. The king's subsequent retreat to his private quarters spoke volumes about the underlying tensions. This growing discord coincided with Camilla's increasing isolation within the royal family. Young royals, particularly William and Catherine, began orchestrating their own events independently of the Queen Consort's calendar. Private family dinners became less frequent, and Camilla found herself excluded from key decision-making conversations about the future of the monarchy. Her once strong alliance with Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, showed signs of strain as loyalty lines were quietly redrawn, the mounting pressure manifested in subtle but noticeable ways. Camilla's absence from informal family gatherings, her withdrawal from traditionally shared patronages, and most tellingly, her decision to spend more time at Ray Mill House, her private residence. This retreat to familiar territory, away from the watchful eyes of palace staff, sparked concerns about her ability to cope with the mounting pressures of her role. Even long-standing family traditions began to shift, with Camilla notably absent from several private family celebrations. The Queen's preference for solitude, once attributed to her need for personal space, now appeared more symptomatic of a deeper rift forming within the royal ranks. Her increasingly frequent visits to her own children and grandchildren signaled a retreat from the complex dynamics of her royal role. As the walls between public duty and private pain began to crumble, a shocking revelation about Queen Elizabeth's true intentions would emerge, one that would shake the very foundations of Camilla's position within the royal family. Hidden truths emerge. In a moment that would forever alter the dynamics of the royal family, Princess Anne's revelation about Queen Elizabeth's private vision sent shockwaves through the palace corridors. During what was meant to be an intimate family gathering at Windsor Castle, Anne shared how the late monarch had carefully crafted a blueprint for the monarchy's future, one that positioned Catherine, Princess of Wales, at its very heart. This wasn't merely about succession planning, it was a carefully considered strategy that Queen Elizabeth had refined during her final years, recognizing in Catherine the qualities she believed would be crucial for the monarchy's survival in an increasingly modern world. The late Queen's private papers, accessed by trusted senior courtiers, revealed a depth of planning that few had suspected. Detailed notes, written in Elizabeth's distinctive hand, outlined her hopes for Catherine's role, one that transcended the traditional expectations of a future queen consort. These documents, shared discreetly among senior royal advisors, painted a picture of Catherine as a pivotal figure in modernizing the monarchy, with specific recommendations for gradually increasing her responsibilities even before William's accession to the throne. The revelation left Camilla grappling with the uncomfortable realization that her predecessor had envisioned a very different future than the one currently unfolding. The impact of these revelations on Queen Camilla was profound and immediate. Sources close to the royal household reported hearing muffled sobs from her private chambers at Clarence House, where she had retreated upon learning of Elizabeth's plans. The discovery that the late Queen had been quietly grooming Catherine for a more significant role than previously understood struck at the heart of Camilla's insecurities. Palace staff noted a marked change in her demeanor. Gone was the confident Queen Consort who had worked tirelessly to establish her place within the firm, replaced by someone increasingly uncertain of her position and legacy. Long-held assumptions about the monarchy's structure began to crumble as more details of Queen Elizabeth's vision emerged. Her detailed plans, carefully preserved in the royal archives, revealed a sophisticated understanding of the public's changing expectations of monarchy. Elizabeth had recognized that Catherine's natural ability to connect with the younger generations, combined with her understanding of modern media and social causes, made her an ideal figure to help bridge the gap between tradition and progress. This foresight became increasingly apparent as Catherine's public engagements garnered consistently positive responses. While Camilla's more traditional approach seemed increasingly out of step with public sentiment, the implications of these revelations rippled through the palace's elaborate hierarchy, affecting everything from staff assignments to public engagement strategies. Senior advisors, who had long balanced their loyalties between various royal households, found themselves navigating increasingly complex waters. Some of Camilla's most trusted staff members began quietly seeking positions within Catherine's growing team, sensing a shift in the monarchy's center of gravity. The reorganization of royal duties, once seen as a natural evolution, now appeared to many as the fulfillment of Elizabeth's carefully laid plans. This seismic shift in understanding cast previous tensions in a new light, particularly the strained relationship between Camilla and Catherine. What had once been attributed to personal differences now seemed part of a larger pattern, one orchestrated by the late Queen herself. Private conversations between staff members, later leaked to trusted royal correspondents, revealed that Elizabeth had spent considerable time mentoring Catherine, sharing insights and wisdom that she had notably withheld from Camilla. This personal investment in Catherine's development suggested a level of trust and approval that Camilla had never fully achieved. The toll of these revelations on Camilla's health became increasingly apparent as winter approached. Beyond the public's view, she battled a series of health challenges that palace officials struggled to keep private. The Queen's medical team, growing increasingly concerned about her deteriorating condition, documented a troubling pattern of stress-related symptoms. Chronic fatigue, anxiety attacks, and a resurgence of the osteoporosis symptoms that had plagued her family for generations. These physical manifestations of her emotional struggle began to affect her ability to maintain the grueling schedule expected of a senior royal, leading to a series of quietly canceled engagements that the palace attributed to routine health maintenance. The burden of royal duties, already substantial, became nearly unbearable as Camilla attempted to maintain a brave face while dealing with her declining health. Private medical reports, shared exclusively with key royal advisors, painted a concerning picture of a woman pushing herself to physical and emotional limits. The Queen's personal physician, speaking anonymously to protect patient confidentiality, expressed growing alarm at her determination to fulfill public duties despite clear medical advice to reduce her workload. Each public appearance now required hours of preparation and recovery, with staff reporting that Camilla often spent entire afternoons in darkened rooms recovering from the strain of morning engagements. The specter of COVID-19 continued to cast a long shadow over Camilla's health journey, with long-term effects from her previous infection complicating her current struggles. Medical professionals monitoring her condition noted persistent symptoms that aligned with long COVID, including unexpected fatigue and cognitive challenges that made her royal duties increasingly difficult to manage. The Queen's battle with these ongoing symptoms became particularly apparent during lengthy public engagements, where observers noticed her struggling to maintain focus during speeches and appearing increasingly dependent on written notes, a stark contrast to her previously confident public speaking style. Further complicating matters was the emotional strain of supporting King Charles through his own health challenges while managing her personal medical issues. The couple's medical teams worked overtime to coordinate their care, but the pressure of maintaining public appearances while privately managing their health began to show. Behind palace walls, staff witnessed moments of profound vulnerability as Camilla attempted to balance her role as supportive spouse with her own need for rest and recovery. The Queen's determination to shield Charles from the full extent of her health struggles only added to the emotional burden she carried. Daily life at the palace became an intricate dance of medical appointments and public duties, with Camilla's schedule increasingly dictated by her health needs rather than royal protocol. Traditional morning briefings were rescheduled to accommodate her medical treatments, while public engagements were carefully selected based on their physical demands. The Queen's private secretary maintained two calendars, one for public consumption and another that tracked her medical appointments and recovery periods. This double life began to wear on Camilla, who confided in close friends about the exhaustion of maintaining a public persona while privately battling health challenges. The aftermath of this period would prove decisive in Camilla's ultimate decision about her future within the royal family. As medical reports continue to highlight the toll of royal duties on her health, trusted advisors began quietly suggesting the need for a more permanent solution. The Queen's medical team, increasingly alarmed by the deterioration in her condition, prepared detailed briefings for senior palace officials outlining the potential consequences of maintaining her current schedule. These warnings, combined with the emotional weight of recent revelations, would ultimately force a conversation about the sustainability of her role within the monarchy. As the palace grappled with the growing reality of Camilla's situation, events would soon force a decision that would alter the course of royal history, a moment of truth that would transform private struggle into public spectacle. The final decision. The mounting pressure within palace walls reached its crescendo during a private meeting of senior royal advisors in early November. As rain lashed against the ornate windows of Buckingham Palace's blue drawing room, Queen Camilla sat silently while medical reports, security concerns, and public engagement statistics painted a devastating picture. The whispers of crisis could no longer be contained within the palace's gilded corridors. Behind closed doors, heated exchanges between royal households intensified. Prince William's team pushed for immediate action, citing the need to protect the monarchy's future, while Charles's advisors desperately sought compromise. Camilla, caught in this crossfire, retreated further into isolation. A trusted lady-in-waiting later revealed finding the Queen alone in her private study, tears streaming down her face as she clutched old photographs of happier times. The emotional toll became visible even to casual observers. During a rare public appearance at a children's hospital opening, Camilla's hands trembled noticeably as she attempted to cut the ceremonial ribbon. Palace insiders noted her increasing reliance on anxiety medication, while public engagements were quietly scaled back. The facade was crumbling, and everyone knew it. The decisive moment came during a private conversation with King Charles in the gardens of Windsor Castle. As autumn leaves swirled around them, Camilla finally voiced what they'd both known was coming. "I can't do this anymore," she whispered, her voice breaking. Charles, already battling his own health challenges, could only watch as decades of careful planning unraveled. Security footage later leaked to royal correspondents captured Camilla's solitary figure pacing the palace corridors at 3 a.m., phone in hand, rehearsing the words that would shock the nation. The decision to announce her resignation on live television wasn't just about transparency, it was her final act of defiance against a system that had slowly suffocated her. Late-night meetings with legal advisors and communications teams stretched into the early hours as palace officials scrambled to manage the impending announcement. Yet even as plans were laid, Camilla's inner circle noticed a subtle change, a lifting of the weight that had pressed upon her shoulders for so long. In the quiet moments before the cameras began rolling, Camilla stood alone in the state dining room, running her fingers over the smooth surface of the desk where she would deliver her final address. A makeup artist would later recall her surprising calm, almost serene. The Queen had made her choice. Now it was time to tell the world. As Queen Camilla took her place before the cameras, the nation held its breath, unaware that they were about to witness a moment that would redefine the modern monarchy forever. Queen Camilla's dramatic resignation marks a pivotal moment in royal history, revealing the human cost of duty, power, and public expectations. As the monarchy grapples with this unprecedented crisis, questions about its future remain. Will Catherine step into the role Queen Elizabeth envisioned? How will King Charles navigate this personal and public upheaval? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain, the British monarchy will never be the same. Don't miss our upcoming exclusive revelations about the aftermath of this royal bombshell. Like, share, and subscribe for more breaking coverage of the stories behind the crown.